Hello and welcome to Sinter. This is a newish visual novel. I say newish because it only has 2 updates so far, I think, but it has been out for a while. The only thing that I can tell you about it is that it has to do with something in the deep sea, and I believe the main character is a hyena, so yay, bonus points. They're taking over the position of a communications officer for somebody else. And I think that's about the gist of what I know so far. I know that it's supposed to be something in the deep sea, and whether or not it's gonna be like a monster or something eldritch, I really don't know. So we'll see that. But yeah, like I said, it's only 2 updates so far, so hopefully they continue the story. But what else? Actually, that's really all of what I know so far, so yeah, so I guess without further ado, let us begin Sinter. The thrashing water has gone still. My body hangs in the dark, like I'm floating on air, not quite sinking to the bottom of the ocean. I'm stuck in it again. That dream. I remember it. This feeling. These sights and sounds. And I know that I'll forget again when it's over. I see a light blooming, blinding me, not above but below. It's dull yet golden. It reminds me of the lighthouse nightlight that I used to have. I drift towards it. I don't even have to swim. I simply will myself closer and closer. I'm drawn. The light starts to take shape. It's an opening, like a maw without teeth. It's wrapped with coral and ringed with translucent fronds of wispy jelly-like flesh. Luminescent patterns dance and spiral across its surface, like a kaleidoscope. For some reason, it soothes. My nose is thick with the stink of muddy swamp, a rotten, acrid stench that burns my sinuses and makes it hard to breathe. It tries to speak to me, but its voice is soulless. Somehow, I feel the words in my chest. You do not belong on the surface. My head jerks up and my eyes open. Everything is blurry, and for a heart-stopping moment, I think my eyes are stuck with film. It rubs away easily though, and I remember where I am. What was I doing? I must have dozed off. That's right, I'm on the ardent mirror. Today's the day that I start my assignment at the research platform. The sea is unusually calm today, at odds with my heartbeat as I come down from... I'm actually not sure. I must have had a nightmare, though I'm not sure what about. Small waves, barely any seagulls, the setting sun sparkling on the water. Just me and the swishing sound of the endless blue, forming one continuous, unbroken horizon. The salty South Pacific air permeates the atmosphere, lingering on my tongue and in my nose with every breath. There's something about it that makes this all feel a little more real, like it's finally happening. I try hard to appreciate the serenity, but inside my chest, my heart feels like it's about to explode. I'm excited and terrified. This is going to be the first job that has anything to do with my field of study since I graduated over a half a decade ago. Marine biology. Well, in reality, I'm basically just a runner for the actual scientists here. But I want it to work out, and I want to be able to enjoy being in my element too. No more stressing about KPIs and call handling. I lean against the chilly steel railing on the ardent mirror's port side and look down, as if I'm ever going to be able to see anything down there. The research platform, aptly dubbed Thermogenesis, and the crew that I'm going to be spending the next several months aboard are way, way below the midnight zone. In the heart of the literal abyss. That's an absurd distance that's even after all these years I can't quite wrap my head around. 600 meters is like a little over 2/3 of Mount Everest. The thought stirs my heart again, and I feel myself instinctively wanting to pull away from the rail. A sudden wash of vertigo pours over me, like getting hit by that last tequila at 2 in the morning. I don't back away though. I want to acclimatize my mind to the idea that I'll be down there, and soon. It'll be easier when I'm in it, I tell myself. The sun is low enough now that the waves cast shadows like inky tendrils across the surface of the water. Funny, it's not alive, but it moves all on its own. It makes me smile a little, thinking about how many legends from ages past all imagine sea monsters and unknown creatures of the deep. Right now, we're conquering our oceans piece by piece, yet it seems like we know less and less with each discovery. Like cutting the heads off of a hydra, every answer births more questions. Ahoy, Sailor Palmer! I look over my shoulder as I am pulled from my thoughts by the ship's smiling captain. Captain Haig has been pretty nice to me since I got off the helicopter a few days ago. I think that he can tell how nervous I am about the whole thing. Ugh. Pull it together, Riley. Good evening, Captain. Is it almost time? The SEAL claps a big hand on my shoulder, making me oof, his frosty white beard framing his toothy smile. You tell me. I'm sure you've been waiting for this. Go on, get down there and knock him dead, son. I laugh along with him for a bit as he escorts me across the deck and into the slightly warmer interior. Before I close the door behind me, I take one last look across the water at the dimming sunlight. It's the last time that I'm gonna see it firsthand for a long, long time. I commit the scene to memory, then step inside. We talk a little about what's ahead of me, making sure that I've gotten through my checklist before the captain is intercepted by a crewmate. Oh, right in there, Palmer. McLean and I'll be waiting for you. He points me to the last door on our journey and regretfully disappears to follow the crewmate to wherever he's needed. At the bottom of the ship, staring at this giant submarine's open top as it's docked in the water, I cannot but think about how much it kind of looks like the shadow of some giant whale. It's cute in a way. I actually almost want to pet it with that thought in my mind. Okay, well, maybe not that far, but it does settle my nerves a bit. That's when I hear something inside the open hatch clang. It's quiet, but it perks my ears all the same. The impulse is immediate and I feel myself leaning over to get a peek inside. Suddenly something huge and gray appears in front of me before my eyes can even make out anything in the dark hole. In the blur, it's crowned with two pointy shapes, and in the center of its face is a giant black nose. I'm not fast enough to stop the humiliating little squeak of terror as my mind pieces it together and I finish recoiling. A wolf. Ah! Crevens nearly bumped your wing nut there. I blink, hand on my heaving chest. He is smiling at me expectantly. Then he seems to tire of waiting for me. What? Don't tell me that you're shy. I'm not gonna bite you. The wolf's giant shoulders rolls as he extends an alarmingly huge paw at me for a handshake. Douglas. Or Dougie. Or Doug. Pick a favorite. I take his ridiculously proportioned paw and he shakes my whole arm like a sin wave, leaving me to realize just a little too late that his hands are a bit slick with what must be oil. When he lets me go, I discreetly wipe my hand on my pants and manage to smile back to the harshly accented man. Riley. I answer a little pathetically. Riley. Lovely to have you, newbie. Here, fancy handing me that little box and your feet? Need to get this bluff loaded up. It's gruff, but he has an almost sing-songing like jolliness to his voice that eases the tension in my chest. His nonsense words help too. Sure. I look down at the box of what looks like food rations wrapped in silvery packets and pick it up, apparently to his pleasure as he smiles at me again when I hand it forth. Cheers. It took both of my arms to lift it, but he just slips it out of my grasp with one open hand beneath the box, held aloft like a waiter carrying a tray, and then he disappears into the hatch. Again, I can hear him bumping and shuffling around in there, but it's not long before he's back. This time he just pulls himself all the way out and joins me in the shrinking space of the Ardent Mirror's dry dock. He smells like a fresh workout, and it's not hard to see why. The front of his chest top is patched dark and damp around the collar with sweat, and it's the same all the way down the middle of his back. I have a mildly worrying thought. They, let you shower at the station? That halts him, and I see his snarky, smirking face crest over his meaty shoulders to look at me with those honey-hued eyes. Cheeky wee bugger, eh? Of course they let us shower. I've just been hauling this shit back and forth all day, that's all. He laughs to let me know that he's not offended, but makes a point to whap my arm with the brown fur at the tip of his otherwise gray tail. I move to start helping him shift some more of the clutter into the hatch. Look at you. That's motivation. I sputter my lips with like a horse and shake my head, only to see him take the box in each arm and hoist them onto his shoulders. His biceps, each as big as my head, practically explode with the exertion, and he marches his way back over to the hatch. Way to go, show off. How are we gonna get down the hatch like that? Look, you're right. I don't see him blush, but I do watch his tail curl around his tree trunk of a leg. He does a little dance trying to see over his pectoral shelf with both of those boxes in his arms, looking for somewhere to set them down. I roll my eyes, unable to hide my smile, and reach up to take one. Hey, give me this one. Put the other one down on your feet and I'll hand them to you once you're in the damn hole. Douglas pauses and then shakes the box closest to me, letting me know that he's ready. I take it, freeing him to set the other down where he's standing with both hands. Then he climbs down again. Smart. We spend the next 30 minutes working together, packing things into the submarine while making small talk. It's nice and it takes my mind off of the anxiety that I was feeling before. After we finish squaring off all the heavy supplies away, I take a minute to breathe and realize how Douglas got so sweaty. I'm not faring much better myself. I tug a few times at the collar of my shirt, which gets a little laugh out of the big wolf as his paws wrap around the big dial on the inside of the hatch. With a groaning squill and deep final clunk, the hatch slams shut above us, leaving us in the dim reddish gloom of the submarine. Douglas cranks the wheel a few times, listening to it ratchet down until airtight. Then I see his yellow eyes light up from above me as they catch the ambient glow in the way predator eyes do at night. Struggling? Without the hissing of the pipes and sloshing of the water inside the relative quiet of the submarine, I can feel his baritone voice and my chest amplified in the tight space. The wolf leans over to the ladder, and I both hear and feel his massive boots stomp onto the textured metallic floor beneath us in a way that rattles my shins. I also get a whiff of his musky scent, which is slightly overpowering his fading cologne. Douglas then reaches down into his belt and plucks off a flask that looks smaller than it really is in his big hands. With a little more desperation than I'd like, I watch him unscrew the cap, realizing that I've been too distracted to drink anything all day, and suddenly I think that I can feel my lips drying out like a cartoon. He offers his flask to me with a bump of his eyebrows, and gratefully I take it with a nod of appreciation. Sipping, I feel it pour down my throat, the chill pleasantly spreading across my chest as it settles in my stomach, cooling me. I must have closed my eyes because when I try to hand it back, I now see Douglas is halfway down the cramped hall and moving towards one of the chairs. Fine by me, I think, as I take another sip while internally admitting my greed. As I follow after him, the submarine creaks and hums around me in the relative darkness while everything is half washed in orange, lit from below. I'm actually reminded of those old sci-fi movies for a moment, and the incredulousness escapes my lips in an amused chitter born from my hyena heritage. Douglas sits on a swivel chair that's bolted down in front of a sonar console, leaving 3 other empty chairs arranged in a square, each with their own stations. I choose one opposite of him as he starts to crank his claws on the keys in front of him, finishing with a flourishing final tap that sends some green text across the smaller screen to his right. That's Captain Ross Townsend that we're fit to go. Right. The entire sub shuts as a blaring alarm sounds from below to signify that we're about to start moving. For a minute, I feel all the breath leave my lungs and I shakily inhale to replace it. Goodbye, surface. We're taking the plunge. Several minutes pass in relative silence as we begin our descent. Once all the rattling stops, I find it to be uncomfortably quiet. I look around me, wondering if we're the only two in this sub. Did they send you up here on your own? Where is the captain? That makes him laugh again. Nah. I'm not even close to qualified to pilot this thing. He gestures his thumb towards a thick steel door at the front of a long corridor we're in with a little porthole on it. The captain doesn't like distractions when he's in the driver's seat. Should have seen him on the way down here on day one. Shame we didn't have a 10-foot pole. He doesn't want to meet the newbie? A coy smirk pulls at my lips as I say it, which seems to resonate with the wolf. Aye, he's a bit of a miserable bastard sometimes, but he knows what he's doing. He just likes things tightly run, that's all. Try not to take anything he says personally. Douglas leans back in his chair, stretching his titanic arms over his head, and I think I hear a thread pop in his vest top along with a few vertebrae. His lips curl up with a scrunching face as he revels in the mounting relief, baring his huge canine teeth. I look away. Nah, we'll get to the introductions and all. That when we've got our feet on the floor. Don't worry, he's not forgotten about you. I nod, letting my eyes drift to the floor as I think about what the rest of the crew are gonna be like. Hopefully I can make a good first impression. People haven't always been my best skill and I'm already coming in late to the party after their other guy bailed halfway into the project's launch. They've already established their relationships and now I'm gonna have to squeeze my way into that after the fact. It doesn't really help that I seem to set everyone's gaydars off somehow, even when I try to hide it. At least Douglas is making good effort to make me feel at home. That's when I remember what's in my hand and I reach over to give him his flask back. Where are you from? I ask out of real curiosity, but also so that he'll just take the flask back. He does. Sunny Scotland. May wee bit hill and glen. I giggle. Pretty far away. How'd you end up here? Douglas leans forward, engaged now. Knew a guy who knew a guy, worked on oil rigs for a few years and then got me a wee bit of gossip off the grapevine about a deep-sea project that needs hands. You miss it? Douglas tosses his head in a so-so gesture, pursing his lips. Bit of a shithole these days, partly our fault. Partly not. There's actually the first trace of venom that I've heard from him in the last part, enough that I'm sort of intrigued, but not enough that I'm unafraid to ask. Well, from what I hear, you won't exactly be missing the sunlight. Aye. You can't very well miss what you ne'er had, that's true. What about you, though? Where's your kip? I blink, and he seems to consciously dial in his dialect a little bit. Where are you from? America, obviously. Southern? Florida. Oof. Yeah. Hot, muggy, weird politics, lots of geriatrics, venomous everything. Not good for the fur then. Well, you'll be glad to know that thermogenesis is climate controlled, so if you sweat, it's 'cause you want to. Sounds good to me. Gotta say though, I'm gonna miss Cocoa Beach. Beaches? Fair enough. Not for me, but at least there's plenty to look at. I quirk up my brow at the sultry swing of his tone. Well, I mean, I'm just there for the water and the vibes, really. Having a nice view is part of it, I guess. We keep talking for another little while, but Douglas's yawning seems to get the better of him until he gives up and goes down a deck to take a nap. Before he goes, he tells me that there is about an hour left before it's time to dock, so I get up and decide that I'm going to explore. As it happens, there's not much exploring to be done in a claustrophobic steel tube, and there's a lot of pretty advanced equipment here that I'm not totally familiar with. What ends up catching my attention in the end is how dark it already is outside. The portholes are small and the glass is extremely dense. But when I look outside, all I can see is the infinite expanse of absolutely nothing. My pulse bumps up a few ticks, the excitement returning from before. I'm really down here, on my way towards a research base at the bottom of the ocean. I let myself get immersed in the feeling, my feet shuffling across the rigid metal, making my way towards the little circle of darkness on the hull of the submarine. My little window into the depths. Something glows to life outside my new nook in this porthole. I can't believe my eyes as I squint to adjust to the new shapes slowly forming against the inky blackness. It's a giant siphonospore, a cousin of the Portuguese man-o'-war, and very rare. They're considered one of the largest organisms on Earth, despite the fact that they are technically massive super colonies of microscopic organisms all working together. It's beautiful. This is it. Everything that I've done up until now has been worth it. It feels like I'm where I'm meant to be, and there's only going to be more of it for me to see. Looking at it, the way that it coils and floats motionless in the water, it's beautiful and haunting in equal parts. Pictures and videos just can't impress upon how alien the things down here truly are. Palmer. I whip my head around to my right and see the giant shape of a man standing just in front of the now open door to the cockpit. It takes me just a little bit too long to close up my stupid, drooling mouth as I snap to attention like I'm about to get chewed out by my sergeant. This must be Captain Ross. My head snaps back and forth between the silhouette of my new captain and the little black porthole. The beautiful deep-sea wonder is already long out of sight. Bit of a daydreamer, aren't you? He says bluntly, reinforced by his rigid enunciations that just feel like being hit with a baseball bat to my reeling, distracted mind. Daydreamer? Wait, if the captain isn't driving then? Fuck, has it already been an hour? His shape fills my vision and brings me mentally back into the room while I try to play catch-up. He isn't as broad as Douglas, but the muscles in his exposed arms look like tightly wound cords that snake around a skeleton. I can do nothing but imagine him as a physical embodiment of a clenched fist, and I have to shake off the implications born from that image before my focus gets away from me again. Yes, Captain. Sorry, Captain. Captain Ross steps towards me again, his face unveiling in the light and lit from below as if he's about to tell me the horrifying ending to a scary campfire story. The stunted remains of bullhorns just from atop his blocky head. They've been shorn into stubs and capped with big metal studs like a doorman's. His deep russet eyes bore into me, assessing me from top to bottom like the way a chef looks at their knives. I feel small. Welcome aboard, Palmer. Look to me like you're eager to get to work. I look forward to working with you over the next several months. I can't tell if he's being sarcastic or not. He's unreadable, so much so that when he extends his hand to me, I look at it like it's a Venus flytrap waiting for prey. Still, I reciprocate. Thankfully, he doesn't drop me to the floor and pretzel my arms in a painful hold. Instead, it's a firm yet gentle shake, professional. Like with Douglas, I spend too much time thinking about it, and my arms just kind of limply flop in his grasp until he lets go. Damn it. This guy is so intense. Is he angry? You've been briefed, correct? How much have they told you about the mission before sending you down here? I blink, a little taken aback by the question. I suppose this project was rather secretive, so maybe he thinks that they've kept me in the dark? Or maybe he thinks that my vacant stare is a bad omen on my competence, and he's trying to check me. I straighten up and clear my throat. Yes, I've been assigned to the International Deep Sea Research Lab, Thermogenesis, as a replacement communications officer. Our mission is to spend the next several months studying the emergence of a new undersea volcano on the floor of the hadopelagic zone. We're looking for a new species, anomalous readings in seismic activity, and potential new applications in geothermal energy. Good. You're up to speed then. I assume McLean is below us? A slacker, that one. I exhale the deep breath that I didn't realize that I was holding and speak up. He is, but only after we hauled everything down here. He helped me get oriented before he went anywhere. Well, I wanted an inventory count from him to make sure that he actually gave us everything that we ordered. It wouldn't be the first time. The bull moves past me, eyes locking on the steep, almost ladder-like stairwell to the lower deck. I don't follow him, but I hear him clop in his boots all the way down and bang on something, followed by a startled snort from the dozing Douglas. McLean, we're docking. Get moving. Go? I'm up. Barely a moment later, the captain is back up at the stairs, in front of me and pointing out orders. Palmer, get on the comms through Thermogenesis. I want the engineer on standby to assist with Dock A. Tadpole 1 at Dock A. I stand there stupefied for a half-second, processing, and then turn to the same station Douglas sat at earlier. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the captain disappear into the cockpit again and swing the door closed. The terminal whirls to life in front of me. I quickly familiarize myself with the buttons and their labels. The screen in the middle is my radar, and on the left I have a list of channels to select for voice communications, and on my right there is the monitor and keyboard Douglas used to message the captain. I scroll through the channel list until I find the one titled The Gen All, and I hold down the button on the stand microphone in front of me. Attention. This is Communications Officer Riley Palmer aboard Tadpole 1 requesting the engineer aboard Thermogenesis. Please attend Dock A to assist with docking procedures. Repeat. Engineer to Dock A to assist Tadpole 1 with docking procedures. Over. I let go of the button and wait, only to be answered by the sound of grainy shuffling and cluttering, the speakers of my headset picking up the sound of something metal clattering and banging against something. Doc! I give a start as a tight, nasally voice squeaks down the receiver at me. I open my mouth to speak, but I'm interrupted before I can say anything. What do you want? Whoever this is breathing heavily right into the microphone, like they're running somewhere. This is... Heard you the first time, asshole. I'm coming. I'm... not sure what to say. Hello? Wrong number? This is Meepy. Speak to me. I stammer, trying to find my words. Okay, Mippy? We're coming in. Be ready for us. The crackling sound of panting coming through my headset labors on for a few more seconds, sounding a little too winded to have just been from running to the dock. Yeah, I'm here. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Yeah. Dock A is... ready. Thank you, Mippy. We will see you aboard. Officer Palmer ending the communication. Getting up and running away, I almost bumped straight into the sternum of Douglas. His big paws brace my shoulders and steady me. Oh, easy does it. Rushing around like that's gonna shorten your nose. I take a bashful step back, having to crane my neck to see him. Sorry, I'm just excited. The wolf pats me on the back and follows me as I turn towards the hatch at the end of the corridor where we'd left all of our supplies. An alarm blares from somewhere outside the submarine, and what sounds like heavy machinery cranking and shifting into place gently shunts us from side to side. This is it. I'm gonna be part of something big. I look back at Douglas as we wait for the alarms to stop. We can't open the hatch until we've given the clearance. But even then, that doesn't take too long as my mind races with all the great things that I'm gonna be a part of down here. When the lights inside the sub switch from orange to white and everything starts to light up, I see Douglas bounce his eyebrows playfully at me, encouraging my eagerness. The ratchets at the hatch crack open, and I looked up to see the face of my new crew. Rather, I see one face, not even that, just a silhouette, short and horned. Hey, did you bring the grub? Douglas moves up behind me and pats me gently on the back, encouraging me to start climbing the ladder. Aye, there's plenty. Better get your arse in gear, cause Riley and I are still shattered from loading up. Fine. I want first pick of the yogurt packets though. When I pull myself up the ladder, I get a better look up at Meepy. A kobold all the way out here? I have to stop myself from gawking. I've never actually seen one in person before. They're pretty rare. They mostly stick to themselves. I'm embarrassed to admit that my only knowledge of them comes from pop culture rags. Mips. There are 300 rations of yogurt. Yeah, and they're mine. Douglas shakes his head, rolling his eyes as he drops down one of the heavy boxes at Mippy's feet, making the short reptile jump. Fine then, you carry them. Then the wolf disappears back down the ladder with a swish of his big bushy tail. Hey, at least make the new guy help. He turns to me at that moment, and I'm already expecting a handshake. I'm ready this time. I'm the first one to extend my hand, but instead of his grip, I feel him slap my paw left and then right, and then he bumps his fist against my loose fingers, making them bend awkwardly. We share a look, his disappointment and mine of confusion and shame, as I give up and drop my hand to my side. Wow, that was kinda shit. I shrivel. Well, that's okay. You'll learn. I guess you're Riley then, Yeah, I'm Riley. We spoke over the radio. I'm gonna be your communications officer. Yeah, you said that. Good luck. The last guy went nuts. Oh yeah, the whole reason that I'm down here in the first place. I've been curious about what exactly happened, but I haven't been able to get any specifics since I got here. I think it's an HR privacy rule. The question must be on my face because he immediately continues. Crazy, right? He just started like, wheshed. It's not nice to gossip, Mips. Both Meepy and I jump a little as Douglas' sudden scolding, but the wolf just chuckles at us. Sorry, it's just that the situation is a bit uncomfy for everyone involved. Probably shouldn't talk about it so openly if we don't fancy a hiding from Captain Ross anyway. Douglas takes a look around the room and then down at the boxes below, which makes me remember that I'm supposed to be helping. I don't get a chance to move though because I see his brow come together in thought and he speaks. Where's Cortes? Thought that she'd at least come say hi or at least get her granola chewies. Nah, she's in her stupid lab licking kelp or something. She was ranting about finding a new species as she was kicking me out, so like... you know how it is. We'll see her again next week if we're lucky. Oh really? That was fast. Seems like every day she's finding something new. She must be really into it if she's still up this late. Oh yeah, she's a total nerd. Glasses and everything. Never seen her without the clipboard. Mippy leans in very close and whispers. I think she sleeps with it in her arms. I nod, backing up a little and clearing my throat. I think I'm pretty protective of my work too if I was making all these new discoveries. Must be like a drug. Huh. You know the way that she rambles sometimes, I wonder. The conversation seems to finish there, and I'm about to ask about what time it is anyway when we start hearing more noises from below. Captain Ross's heavy footfalls barely even change their rhythm as he scales a ladder, and when he appears in front of us, we all straighten up a little, maybe a little too much. The captain regards us coolly. You're all still here? Slate. Aye, we've still got all this stuff to move, Captain. Not by flapping your lips at all, McLean. Somehow I'm still surprised by his bluntness. Leave it in the submarine and lock up for tonight. Moving the stock is your priority for the morning. Then I feel his eyes bear down on me. Palmer, follow me. I'll show you to your quarters so that you can rest up for the night. Tomorrow morning we'll be beginning your orientation and give you a proper introduction. I swallow and nod, but his heavy gaze sticks to me expectantly. Yes, Captain. Seemingly satisfied, he begins to power forward past the other two without so much as a glance in Meepy's direction. I bristle a little the moment that I know that he's not looking at me, but I follow him as instructed. To avoid the feeling of being pulled away to the gallows, I give a little look back at my comrades. I see Dougie give me a little smile and a wink before they're both out of sight. Wake up is at 700 hours and the alarm is global, run by our onboard digital assistant, Aorta. You'll have time for breakfast, but I want you ready to meet me at 800 hours on the dot outside of your quarters. I'm still listening as he reads me my rights, but I let my eyes wander around the station's corridors. Pipes and clusters of colorful wires snake across the walls and arched roof, reminding me of some sprawling vascular system as they disappear and reemerge from the various rooms we pass. Every stretch of the corridor is swamped in a sort of dingy yellowish glow from the strips above us. It's bright enough that I can see perfectly fine, but it is a little depressing. Each door that we pass has a digital plaque above it, titled with red square letters. It appears that they have gender-neutral bathrooms too. We pass a few more doors and I notice that they aren't labeled for function, but with names. Soon after, Ross comes to a stop outside a door with my name on the screen. These are your quarters, Palmer. You are responsible for your own housekeeping, including your en-suite facilities. However, I will not be checking up on the kept state of your space unless it is related to relinquishing of equipment or damages. I give a nod and confirm that I understand, before he bids me goodnight and stalks away down the hall again in that same measured stride. I don't wait for him to be out of sight, stepping inside my quarters and listening to the hum of the various life-sustaining systems running around me. As I reach for the light switch by the door, I expect to see more of the same dirty yellow light from the corridors, but I am pleasantly surprised by the relative bright white that fills the room instead. As I take in the sight of my new quarters, it's actually a little bigger than I expected. It's pretty bare though, looking way more pristine than the rest of the facility led me to believe. I can see a bed, a wardrobe, some light storage, a dresser, and a screen embedded with the wall at the foot of the bed that must be my computer. There's no keyboard though. A touchscreen maybe? I'll fiddle with it later, because right now, I'm kind of realizing how tired my feet are. It feels good to be sitting as I drop onto my bed, the pressure off my feet, and then I just fall back on my bed and stare at the ceiling. My spine decompresses, and I push it further by stretching my arms over my head, letting out a loud groan. Fuck, that feels good, and suddenly I'm a little warmer and feel kind of fuzzy. Actually, I'm a little sweaty, and I think that I'd rather shower before I get into bed. Across from me, I can see into my bathroom and will myself to get up and start undressing, tossing my boots and uniform piece by piece onto the floor in a heap by my bed. I'll pick it up later. I finish drying off and toss my towel over the rack, only looking back long enough to see it slip off the other side. Whatever, I'm sleepy. Once more, after I flick off my light, I walk to a few paces and then flop back onto my bed because I just don't want to stand anymore. Thankfully, I judged the distance well enough before I threw myself, having thought about the consequences of missing it just a little too late once or twice before. Kicking my legs into the air, I clumsily wrestle on my underwear over my drying fur. I might be exhausted, but I'm still giddy, and all I can think about right now is what I'll be doing tomorrow. The whirlwind will keep going until I'm settled into my role here, which is fine, but I can't wait to actually get started. Douglas made me feel pretty welcome, which was nice. Honestly, that was my biggest worry, I think. The more that I think about our talk earlier, I realize that what he told me about how he got down here is kind of funny. He just heard about it and applied on a whim? I'm not so sure. This isn't an easy job to get. He was right about Captain Ross, though. He's definitely a hard ass, and I'm gonna have to be on alert if I want to stay on his good side. Maybe it's a little shitty to say so, but I'm kinda glad that it's not just me he's so cold with. We're all in the same boat as far as that goes. I can see myself getting along with Mippy too, I think. He seems a little chaotic, but maybe it'll help keep things fun when days are slow, and maybe I'll even get to learn a little thing about kobolds. As for Cortes, well, she's still kind of a mystery. I wasn't hurt that she didn't come to see me though. She's clearly busy, and if she takes her work as seriously as Mippy made it seem like, then I hope that we can geek out about our discoveries down here. I smile to myself as I linger on imagining that, pulling myself under my tightly tucked covers and curling up. Losing my dwindling thoughts in the comforts of the fresh sheets, I slip away into sleep. The water is up to my neck. It doesn't crash or churn. It's thick and endless and heavy. I don't remember falling in. My legs kick to stay afloat, but they're slow. Weak. I don't know how long I've been treading. It feels like forever, but I've only just started. There's no horizon. No up. No down. It's just me and the weight of the ocean pressing in from all sides. Something touches my foot and I try not to panic. I look down, but the water is pitch black. I can't even see my body. I call out, but no sound comes. I try to breathe, but the air tastes wet, like I'm already halfway underwater. The water starts to glow dimly. There it is again. Shapes move beneath me, long and thin and endless, like strands of hair. They reach up curiously. What do they want from me? I want to swim away, but I can't. I'm too tired. I feel a familiar throbbing in my head. Words in my chest without a voice. A gift to bear us? The next morning, I'm awoken by the sound of a persistent and fairly loud alarm that makes me jump. Fucking hell. I feel it blast off a few hours of the surprisingly restful sleep that I was getting, and now I feel a little less rested. I rub at my eyes and fumble in the dark like an idiot. I find the lamp next to me and slap at it until it turns on. Also flashbangs me in the process. Hunched over and squinting like some damn cryptid, I do my best to find whatever it is that turns this damn alarm off and finally see the screen at the bottom of my bed. It's glowing red and shows me a big handprint with "stop" in letters under it, a little extreme for a morning alarm. I shut it off with my hand on the screen and finish trying to wake myself up properly. It doesn't take me very long to get dressed and ready since I showered the night before, so I just put my hair up in 2 short ponytails, one on top of the other, and then brush my teeth. I'm out of my room by 7:10, making my way into the core of the habitation dome, which all of the quarters circle around the outside of. It's a big, common area, kind of like if you mix a staff break room with a sort of hotel lobby or lounge. It looks fairly modern, honestly, and I can already see everyone standing around. Douglas is staring at the big TV, standing in the middle of the lounge portion with a slice of toast hanging out of his mouth and a cup of coffee in his big paw. It looks like he's engrossed watching some internet video, which he hasn't full screened, about what you don't know about the knuckle-leave. It looks kinda creepy. Old drawings of some skinless horse-looking thing with a half-man hanging off the back, a weird topic for breakfast. Mippy is on one of the bar stools in front of the breakfast bar eating yogurt. I watch him pick one up, stab the packet with his claw, and then squeeze at it so hard into his mouth that I feel the urge to duck. Then he reaches for another. I see that he's drawing something on a blueprint paper with his other hand. I think that I can see him swinging his legs too. I try not to let the amusement show on my face too much as I run towards the kitchen area and head there, wondering what we might have for breakfast. That's when I see someone I don't recognize. A penguin in a lab coat writing something from a clipboard as they walk back and forward making coffee. Immediately, I assume that this is Dr. Cortes. Good morning. She pauses and turns, looking over her glasses at me. You must be Dr. Cortes, am I right? My name is Riley. I give my hand forward to shake, but then realize that she has both of her hands full with her coffee she just finished making and the clipboard. I hang there for a second before I see a faint smile cross her beak, and she sets down the mug and takes my hand firmly. She shakes evenly with me. I think that I'm getting better at this. A pleasure, Riley. Apologies for not meeting you earlier, but I was elbow deep in the eel tank trying to retrieve a particularly skittish specimen. Don't worry about it at all. Your work must keep you busy. While I talk, I pull open the fridge and take a peek inside, though I don't lean in far enough that my ears are hidden from the doctor. It certainly does, but I don't complain. I dare say that I filled so much hard drive space with photos and notations that I have my own little library of Alexandria going on in here. There is an undeniable pride in her voice as she speaks, but the resolve on her face doesn't really give me the idea that she's full of herself either. It's a little refreshing, The others kinda build her up to be a borderline mad scientist, like with big electric coils and stuff. That's a lot, especially for only having been down here a little while. I see some cereal on the counter and some milk in the fridge and decide that that's what I want, even though it's kinda bland, weedy stuff. Well, it's not from all this expedition. I brought the rest of my research documentation from previous projects to help supplement my work here. Not to say that you're wrong, of course. I have been extremely busy. Taking out the carton, I see Dr. Cortes set a bowl down from one of the units before returning to her coffee. Crockery is always in the top left double cupboard closet to the fridge. Try not to break them. It's hard to get new ones. I smile, thanking her, and she gives me something like a smile back before she finally gets her first sip. Well, my first days are going to be pretty busy here, but if it's okay with you, I'd love to come and see your workspace eventually. She regards me then, her gaze darting across my round muzzle and into my eyes, like she can see right through me. It's enough to barely make me feel a little self-conscious, but before I can look away, she answers. You don't look like a troublemaker, so I don't see why not. She gives me another little smile and then takes her clipboard and coffee away, probably to go back to her lab again. Nice meeting you, Riley. I'll see you later. Try not to let Douglas drop his toast. The very next moment, I hear something splat and a mournful howl from across the way. I look over my shoulder to see poor Douglas looking wide-eyed down at his feet, where the toes that he'd been chewing on is face down on the floor. What? No. I let an amused huff rush out of my nose, and a sharp cackle comes from Meepy. I told you that was gonna happen. Shit, well, got me coffee still. Doug, you clean that up and I'll throw in another slice in the toaster for you. It'll be ready by the time that you come over here. He looks at me like I just told him Santa's coming, and I think about the time that I saw a small Labrador kid get 2 scoops of his ice cream at a cafe after ordering 1. Legend. It's a couple of minutes later before I finally get to sit down at my breakfast, and a quick glance at the clock shows that it's almost 7:45. I try my best to get through my cereal as fast as I can, and when I'm done, I rinse out my bowl in the sink and drop it into the dishwasher. My boots squeak as I power walk my way back to my quarters and hope to myself that when the captain said 800 hours, he didn't mean 10 minutes before. My chest tightens briefly when I see him already standing there. There you are, Palmer. I trust you're fed and ready. Notably, there seems to be a little less tension in his voice, and on his face, he almost looks relaxed. I am, Captain. Where to? The observatory dome at the top platform. The bulk of your duties will be carried out there, at your station. He guides me along the corridor as we're heading back towards the center of the habitation dome, but instead we take a right. It's actually a little hard to keep up with him at a comfortable walking speed, so by the time that we make it through to the personnel elevator, I can feel my calves starting to burn. I really need to get back to exercising more regularly. Captain Ross doesn't really seem like the type to start a conversation on his own, leaving me to conjure the thought that he might just be a robot under that thin, shiny bull fur. I regrettably let out a little snort as we step into the cylindrical elevator car, which draws the assessing eyes of the captain. Something wrong, Palmer? I clear my throat. No, sir. I'm just thinking about meeting the others. Cortes seems nice, observant. He doesn't immediately say anything, but his eyes blink slowly as his gaze resets straight ahead, on nothing. As I open my mouth to fill the silence, he speaks. I doubt her brain ever stops running. Everything is an assessment, a calculation, or some other puzzle to Cortes. She makes a brilliant scientist but a lousy conversationalist. I consider that he's already had much more to say about the penguin than any of the others. I think that I almost spy some admiration. Almost. I can't wait to see what she's discovering down here. It feels like we're sitting on a new frontier. He answers with something barely akin to a chuckle, a dry grunt. Indeed, our work is incredibly important, and as such we can accept no mistakes. Cortes knows this, and so far she has proven to be most efficacious. There's a pause, Like he wants to say more, what nature I don't know, because his face remains as stoic and inscrutable as ever. Well, in that case, I won't let you down. Most certainly you won't. Thankfully, the elevator comes to a stop at last, and I can barely wait long enough for Captain Ross to step out before I let out a long gust from my lungs. That was the most claustrophobic that I've ever felt in an elevator. The captain's presence is just that stifling. When I follow him into the observation dome, I'm stunned by what I see. The most obvious thing to me is the giant window ahead of us. It's basically just a gaping black hole carved right into the side of this gigantic room that we're in. It's impossible to see anything out there, especially with all the lights that come on automatically as we step into the room. My jaw hangs open in wonderment over how they could have engineered something like that. The whole point of windows in water being tiny portholes is because of the absurd pressure. This thing just looks like fantasy. Is that actually a window, Captain? Or am I looking at a screen or something? The bull stops in the middle of the room, folding his arms as he waits for me to catch up to him. His head also turns to see what I'm looking at. It's a real window, Palmer. Yes. I try and fail to ignore the subtle tone in his voice. Great, now he thinks that I'm an idiot. This is your station. You'll be managing our communications from this room, right here. He gestures to a half-circle-shaped desk with a chair in the center of it, tucked into the corner of the room. As I walk closer, I can pick up all the individual apparatuses and equipment packed on and under the desk. I take a seat, familiarizing myself with the space on the desk, which is mostly occupied by a tangle of wires pouring out of an elaborate form of radio box and tannoy system. Next to that is a computer console, mysteriously also hooked up to a bunch of scanners of various types, like back on the submarine. Before I can turn it on, I hear the captain let out a frustrated grunt behind me, causing me to turn around. I can see him lift his communicator up to his face as a voice crackles through. I can't hear who it is, but they also don't really sound like they want to make this call. Ross sucks in a breath through his flaring nostrils and grumbles. McLean, this is the second time. Requisition the parts from the stockpile and… What? Douglas? I wonder what kind of problem he could be having. He said that he works with heavy equipment operations and inventory. If I come down there… Fine. Stop what you're doing. I'm heading down. His eyes lock on me and I fight the urge to shrink in my seat. Captain? McLean needs me in the rover hangar, so you'll have to finish your orientation on your own. Familiarize yourself with your equipment and systems, then you can retrieve a map of the thermogenesis from the console for personal use. I'll likely still be babysitting the wolf by the time that you make it down there, so I will meet you there, understood? He barely waits for me to respond before he turns away, but I managed it. I hate to admit it so early, but I'm actually a little relieved. I don't know how the hell that I'm supposed to get any work done with a guy like that hanging over my shoulder. I wait for him to be totally out of sight, listening for the sound of the elevator before I turn back to my computer. It boots up well enough, but instead of being faced with a login screen, it shows me the desktop. That's odd. Checking the user profile, I see that someone else is already logged in, someone named R. Cromwell. The guy that I'm replacing? Well, now I'm curious. Did they really forget to shut off his system when he left? Seems like a pretty big oversight. I look over my shoulder despite knowing that I'm alone, and then turn back to the monitor to see if there's anything on here about the incident. I kind of know that it's a shot in the dark. I can't pass up the opportunity to snoop though. Even if it turns out to be totally empty, I think that it would still satisfy my curiosity to say I tried. The first thing that I do is open up his logs. There are a bunch of recorded messages here, but what stands out to me most of all is that many of the most recent are incoming, not outgoing. My frown deepens when I see that the computer can't seem to tell me where these communications are coming from. I'm supposed to see a 4-letter tag attached to each entry for either side of the conversation, but I only have MTGS, which is presumably my post. Additionally, there is a stretch of 2 days where no communication attempts were made whatsoever. Another oddity, considering part of my duties here are to give handoff reports at the beginning and end of each day. My heart flutters a little, knowing that I presumably shouldn't even be looking at this. If I'm caught, I could lose my job outright. Missing logs is a big deal, plus the fact that nobody's bothered to log Cromwell out of the system yet is kind of concerning. Not that anybody's going to be breaking into his computer at the bottom of the ocean. Nobody but me. I close out the tab, thinking to myself, as I'm about to try and log out, I notice that the recycle bin actually has something in it, so naturally I'm drawn to click it. An extensive list of files spills down my screen within the window until it hits the bottom, and then I see the scroll bar at the side start to shrink and shrink. Fucking hell, there must be like 100 things in here. Doesn't this guy know how to clean up? That's when I catch something. Every single one of these files is a recording. In fact, from what I can see, they all share the same date. My pulse quickens again, and I take the headset from its stand, placing it on my head. I'm not an idiot though, and leave one ear off so that I can tell if anyone happens to come in behind me. I click on the first recording. This is Communications Officer Ronnie Cromwell from Thermogenesis signing on for today's daily briefing. The date is July 17th, 2060, and the time is 1802. Ardent Mirror, do you copy? I don't hear anyone except the grainy gain and interface as the background noise. Stranger still is that these aren't calls, they're pre-recorded messages, like an answering machine. Why is he asking for correspondence? Captain Haig? Yes, thank you. Again, nothing responds. Oh, that? There isn't... No, you don't understand. It's different down here. The static flares enough to make me flinch. I wouldn't. It's too dark, the lights don't reach that far. Yes, that's what I said. Do you hear it too? The sound cuts out, totally dead. The waveform is totally flat in the program too, yet the recording seemingly lasts for nearly another 7 minutes. I don't stick around for that long, instead closing out the file and scrolling to the bottom of the list. Recordings down there are from the second day that was removed from the logs. I find one of the most recent ones, and again I click. My headset is instantly beset by a horrible, wailing, screeching sound so loud that I only think that I hear myself scream. I jerk away from the console, thankful that this headset is wireless. As I stand there, my heart pounds in my chest. I find the volume dial on the side and crank it way the fuck down. Thankfully it works, and I seriously consider just turning the whole thing off and logging out. Obviously the recordings are corrupted somehow, so even if anything was recorded about what happened, it's definitely lost now. Just as I reach to take the headset off, I hear something that makes me pause. It's ink. It pulls us. I shake my head and touch my hand to my uncovered ear. No, please, you're fucking wrong. It's almost entirely drowned out by the degrading graininess of the recording, but he sounds completely inconsolable, broken. It mourns, and it does. No, you. Why can't you fucking leave me alone? Somehow the volume explodes again and the noise drowns and stutters like syllables, stretching over huge latency in an internet call. My heart drops again and I slap it in my ears in pure reflex, sending the headset tumbling off of me. It clatters to the floor and the mere thought of picking it up again sends a wave of nausea through my stomach. I have to turn away from it and bite my jaws together to stop my nervous hyena chirping. I can't explain how or why, but I feel like something reached into me. What's worse is that I definitely heard that awful voice in both of my ears. Just what the fuck was it? Did I even hear what I thought I heard? I check my computer, pause the recording, and as soon as I close out the program, I catch sight of time. An hour? It's not possible. Those recordings were only a few minutes long each, and I didn't even listen to them all the way. They were terrifying too, so I know that there's no way that I could have been daydreaming, even a little bit. Startled, confused, and honestly worried, I decide to get what I came here for. I take my phone from my belt and plug it into the side of the computer. Once I have the map, I don't even bother to do the whole disconnect safely menu bullshit. I just drag, drop, and unplug. I need some space from this fucked up computer. So that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. So we kind of get a glimpse that there's something strange either going on with this whole deep sea research station, or there's something going on with the hyena. Because they're hearing things which are not there, and it kind of looks like they were already hearing these things since before they got onto the deep sea research station. But it also kind of looks like the previous communications officer was also hearing things. So perhaps there is something going on, or perhaps there's just two crazy people. There doesn't seem to be anybody else that seems to be hearing these things, but this is the beginning of the story, so we don't really know if that's true or not. But yeah, there's something going on, obviously. And of course, as with other pieces of media, there probably is something going on down in the deep, dark ocean because, despite the fact that we live on this planet, we don't really know what's going on down in the depths of the ocean. As much as we like to explore space, there's still literally the ocean that we've never explored. At least not to a great extent. Also, this visual novel, aside from reminding me of another one, actually reminds me of a movie called, actually I don't remember what it's called, but I know Kristen Stewart is in it, but it's also like a deep sea research type thing, and then it turns out there's these eldritch monster type things which are rising up, and they managed, or at least Kristen Stewart's character manages to stop them, but I think she ends up dying in the movie. I don't really remember. It was actually a really good movie. I actually really liked it. I think it's called Underwater. I don't really remember. Anyways, but yeah, very interesting premise. I'm looking forward to seeing what's gonna go on with the story. Obviously, there's more. There's another part. There's another video coming. But yeah. Anyways, so what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you would like to play Sinter yourself, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download and play the game yourself. If they haven't been any form of support, I will be linking that down in the description as well. If you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, which gives you earlier access to these videos as they're being scheduled. This will be coming out at the beginning of August. And it's literally the beginning of July right now when, this is being recorded. So yeah. If you can't do that, there is a Ko-fi, any form of support is appreciated. So, give the video a like if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I also have a Ko-fi in case you're feeling overly generous. But, I know with the economy and everything going, Anyways, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next part. Bye-bye.